Hi, welcome to Midwest Magic Cleaning. My name is Ticka Ticka Jim Shady, and this week I'm working on a room that I've put off for more than a year. We call it the tanning room because, as you can see, there's a giant tanning bed in here. That was left over by the previous owners whenever I bought this house more than a year ago, and ever since then I've opened the door, looked in, and thought, all right, I'll just deal with that later. Well, it's now later. Much, much later. The problem with this room is that, one, I have no use for it. I'm a single dude living in this house by myself. I don't need the extra bedrooms. I don't need the extra space. The second problem is that I could leave the tanning bed in there and use it, but one, I don't tan, and two, I'm 6'4", so if I did tan, I'd either be able to tan everything except for my shins down, or everything from my neck down, or everything except for my forehead and my feet, depending on how I lay in there. So after a year, I finally decided to get a dumpster, clear this room out, and turn it into something actually useful. A cat mansion. Before we could dive into this, though, I needed my oldest son, Jason, and my middle son, Drew, to take everything out of that room because I am lazy and I am an overlord, and they will do what I say, son. But also, I paid them to do that. So they're taking everything out, and then once everything is cleared, we can start on the actual build. Believe me, strangely, it's one of the coolest things that I've done to any room in my house. And if you've seen videos on my house before, you know I've done a lot of cool stuff to it. Now, there are two main reasons that I wanted to turn this into a cat mansion, maybe three. The first would be that I needed to redo this room no matter what. The paneling is shot, as you can see in this video. The floors are absolutely shot. It is just trashed out. And I didn't want to pull all the paneling up, the flooring up, re-drywall it, lay LVP down. I didn't want to do all that. So whenever I make this cat room, we're going to be carpeting all the walls and the floors with a very thin indoor-outdoor carpet so they can scratch anywhere they want and they can climb up the walls and do whatever it is the cats do. I hear they do a lot of meowing and climbing, so that's why I'm putting it in there. The second reason is that since this room was closed off to all traffic because it was so terrible, the cats really, really, really wanted to go in there. They've been obsessed with that room since I got them like a month ago, and I totally get it. I'm a guy. Guys typically want things they can't have, and they're both guys, so I get it. So now I'm going to give them a reason to go in there. That's going to be their bedroom, their cat studio apartment / mansion climbing meowing room. Also, they keep getting food all over my living room floor, so now they can do it in there. I can ignore it until it needs to be vacuumed, and then I can go in there and clean it all up at once. The third was I really wanted to do a video that had some DIY stuff in it because I love doing DIY things. And right now I've got like 187,000 things going on in my life and in my brain, and I just wanted to do something for me and my cats and make my own home a better place. Something I can be proud of, something I could show other people, and it's kind of funny and goofy, but also it's functional, and it makes me proud of the work that we did. So anyway, yeah. Cat mansion. The way we're doing this is really easy. We got the carpet at Menards, and it's a super lightweight indoor-outdoor carpet, so attaching it's fairly easy. We just cut it roughly to size with a little bit of overlap on the ceiling, floor, and side walls. Then we just kind of even it out, and I staple it into place, making sure we smooth out any wrinkles as I'm stapling. Once it's hung up like that, I can go underneath it with a can of 3M. It's like a spray-on rubber cement type of adhesive. Spray that onto the wall and the back of the carpet, and then start smoothing it out, getting all the wrinkles out. Then we just let it dry for a few minutes, pull it up on the areas where we haven't done that, and just repeat the process until it's all adhered to the wall. Then I just run more staples around the edges. One thing I didn't do in here, but I'll stress the word yet, is I haven't put baseboards down, and I haven't painted the trim or the closet. I'm going to paint all that stuff white, and I'm going to put baseboards on the floor where it meets the wall, where baseboards go, because that's what they're made for. And then I want to do the same thing with the ceiling, and that'll cover up all the staples that are shining whenever light hits it. But for right now, I didn't have the time to do that, and also I kept having to remind myself it's a room for cats. Like, they're not going to be offended if I don't put the baseboards down right away. I mean, I thought they were at first, But then I realized that kind of the default state of a cat is to be offended all the time. So it's not necessarily that they were offended by not having baseboards. It's just they were already offended because people exist within their area. Also, I'm not even sure that I've introduced my cats to the channel yet. Their names are Moose and Also Moose. They are brothers. I got them from a shelter. And on behalf of Midwest Magic Cleaning, the member section, we donated $1,000 to that shelter to help them out with food and supplies and medication. So on behalf of the shelter called Saved by Grace in my area, they'd like to thank you guys, because without the memberships, we couldn't have done anything like that. Now, I personally don't thank you, because I don't thank people, son. I receive thanks. I don't give them. But regardless of my rule in that area, I guess I'll thank you too. Thank you. Thank you straight to hell. While we're watching us do this stuff, let's shout out some channels. Every week I like to shout out some channels that I love to personally watch. And we typically seem to have the same kind of taste in channels. So these are ones that I personally watch, and I think you'd like them too if you've never been to them. The first is one of my favorite DIY channels. It's called DIY Tiff. DIY Tiff does building in her home. Like, she just got done with a closet series that's really, really good. She had this kind of overloaded closet that was kind of ugly, and it was functional, but eh. And then she rebuilt it into her dream closet, and it is so cool to watch. But it's not just her building stuff that's interesting. It's such a funny channel, and she has great personality, and I'm going to steal her editor at some point. It's going to happen, Tiff. It's going to happen. Anyway, all the links for these are in the description. The second is DIY Wife. That's another DIY channel, and she does a lot of home building as well. And she's got a different style from DIY Tiff, but it's so cool. It's the same thing, where it's a funny channel, very personable. She turns things decorative and functional, and she'll do entire rooms, and it's just so cool to watch. She's a great person, and her husband is hilarious too. The next is Tia Weston. One of my all-time favorite channels, not just DIY channels, but one of my all-time favorite channels. Super relaxing. She bought a house for $1 and is turning it into from a trashed out house into something that's super classy and beautiful. And she's been working on it for a while, and her progress week over week is just mind-blowing. It's jaw-droppingly pretty, and you should really, really check her out. The last is Mad City Modern. He is one of those channels that takes roadside finds and trashed out furniture and then strips them down, rebuilds them, and turns them into masterpieces. Super cool guy. Again, just like all these other channels, really, really personable. And all of these channels are so relaxing. These are the kinds that I put on at the end of the day when I'm laying in bed and just catching up on YouTube videos and trying to shut my brain down and relax and feel peace and calm. all 4 of these channels are perfect for that. So if you don't like it, you can just suck it. If you do check out any of these channels and you like them, give them a shout out from Midwest Magic Cleaning. Let them know that we all love their stuff, and every one of them deserve your subscription. They're so cool. Also, if you haven't subscribed to mine yet, that would be awesome because we're shooting for 1 million subscribers. The last I checked, we were at 705,000, and at this pace, we may be able to hit 1 million subscribers by this summer. Once we get 1 million subscribers, that's when we get the gold plaque, and that's all I've ever asked for in return for this channel is the gold plaque because I think it's cool and I just want one. This floor was a pain. If you've ever put together a pool and you had to put together the pool liner, it's just as annoying as that because you're standing on the thing that you need to lay down. So you have to lay this particular kind out like a bed sheet because we have a lot of overlap to deal with. So in other words, you can't just lay it flat and then roll the carpet out and have it fit. We have to unroll it in its entirety, make sure that the overlap is okay, then make sure it's even and work out the wrinkles while we're laying it. And the whole time that we're doing that, we have to make sure that the carpet is straight because the mesh on the carpet is done in lines. And if it's off center, it will look crooked. You'll be able to tell it. And even though it's just a room for cats, I still want it to look as pretty as possible because they deserve that. So we spent a lot of time getting it as even as possible. Then I just had to pull back the carpet away from the walls, spray down some adhesive, flatten it out, wait for that to dry, and then work our way across the room that way until it's all tacked down. Then I could cut off the excess in order to make it fit the room. So you're basically just trimming it the same way that you do with a shelf lining. You'd put it on, then trim off the excess, and there you go. Now, while I was doing this, one of the questions I got a lot on Discord was, what if there's a big mess in there? What if you have to clean it up? What if they tear up the carpet and it starts to fray out? That's actually one of the reasons that I got the carpet that I did. It was super cheap. I was able to carpet this entire room, walls and floor, for like $110. So if something happens to go wrong with it, I can literally just peel it off and put on some more, and it basically costs me nothing. But also, there's a chance this will not stay a giant cat mansion. At some point, I may turn this into a utility room, unless they just stay in here all the time, in which case I'm not going to mess up their bedroom. I'll just keep it that way and then deal with the utility room problem later. If you're wondering what I mean by Discord, I have a members only section here on the channel. It's a paid membership thing. All 3 levels of the membership get you access to Discord, and that's where you can find me hanging out every day. And as I'm doing projects, I'll talk about them or film them or show them on webcam or just bounce ideas off of people. If you're already a member and you're wondering how to access Discord, I have a thing posted in the community section of my YouTube channel. It's a video that shows how to connect your Discord to YouTube. That's how you access my server. And don't worry if you can't quite figure it out. I had to watch a couple of videos whenever I first set up Discord to make sure I was doing it right, but once you figure it out, it's kind of easy. But anyway, if you've ever wondered how to contact me during the day, that's the best place to do it because I pretty much always have Discord open. And for those who don't know what Discord is, it's basically a live chat room. So like here, whenever you make a comment on the video, the comment goes out, I read it, and then it's lost in the void of other comments. On Discord, we can have a back and forth and reply to each other, and it's more of an interactive thing. I also almost every night go on a webcam, and we have a voice chat and a video chat where a bunch of us just hang out in that room and BS with each other and hang out like family. Anyway, that aside, once we got the wrinkles out of the carpet that goes on the floor, this was a fairly straightforward process. We just sprayed the adhesive, worked out the wrinkles, and that's basically it. Since it's covering such a large area, I don't need to staple that down to the floor because the adhesive is just like putting adhesive on a large rug, and it doesn't move once it's tacked down. Even if it does, again, it's cheap. I can just replace it, or I can throw a rug on top of it. It's a cat mansion, but still, it's a cat room. So I'm not, even though I wanted to make it look cool and stuff on camera, even off camera, it can still remain a cat room to where I don't have to keep it perfect, but I don't know. It looks cool. The point is I didn't have to do anything special to make that stick to the floor. I think my favorite part of this, though, was once we got that tacked down, taking the box knife and cutting off the excess and watching it just kind of shear up to the wall. And then before I put the shelves and stuff on, it makes it look like a giant subwoofer box that people used to put in their cars. I don't know if they still do that or not, but in the 90s, everybody had a subwoofer box that was made with this type of material. Maybe that's something I can do in the next project. I throw a couple of bass speakers in there and turn it into a cat rave room. Put some neon lights in, some disco balls, some strobe lights, and play some thumping techno cat music, son. The shelves were pretty easy to do because I just bought some shelving from Menards and they were already pre-skinned, so I didn't need to paint them or anything. And I initially tried to do this with screws, just screwing the brackets to the shelves themselves, but I found that it was a problem. It wasn't tight enough. It was really wobbly. So what I did was I got some thin bolts and nuts and I drilled a hole through the shelves themselves and then bolted those things on because I didn't want the cats jumping up on those and then they were too loose and everything would come crashing down probably at 4 a.m. when I'm asleep. But also there was a second problem since they were skinned in the same material that my computer desk is skinned in, I know that cats like to slide on this stuff because their feet just can't grip it. So I got a big roll of kitchen cabinet tack paper. It's not sticky, so I use some of that contact adhesive that I used for the walls. And then I just attach the brackets, spray down the adhesive, and then tack that down to the shelves. That way they can jump up there and have something to grip and not go sliding off like a 1980s video game ice level. Though that would be pretty funny to have on camera. It would not be funny if cats just flopped to the floor from, say, 8 feet in the air. The bracket placement on this is pretty specific. I placed them 16 inches apart, and that's because in most houses, your studs in the walls are spaced 16 inches apart. They call it 16 on center. And with those being 16 inches apart, it means that I can attach those to the wall directly into studs, so it's not just loosely hanging out of paneling with nothing underneath it. So I just repeated this process with 9 shelves, and then I went into the room and I just started tacking those suckers into the studs. And the whole time I was doing it, there were cats at my feet just waiting to jump jump up on those things. But that's also why I carpeted the walls, because not only does that give them a place to scratch, it also gives them a place to climb. So if they don't want to jump up to the shelving, they can climb up to the shelving, which they've done a couple times. I want to try to get it on video. If I don't get it on video before this video goes out, then I'll try to make it a short or something, or show you guys on Discord. It's absolutely hilarious to watch. They love that room so much. But after hanging the shelves, it was pretty simple. I just hung some curtains to hide the fact that that's a gross looking, ugly wooden framework around the windows, and also to add a little bit of color, because let's face it, that's a whole bunch of gray in this room, so I wanted some color to pop out. So I hung some curtains, then I bought them 4 cat beds, 2 big ones and 2 little ones that look like beanbag chairs, moved all their food and water and the bag of food into this room so I could stop storing it all in my living room, and then that was it. The whole room's done. It turned out so cool. I didn't really expect it to, because all I wanted to do was cover up some paneling and give the cats a place to eat that wasn't a place that gets food all over my living room. But it turned out into a neat little project. I like it. Plus, I mean, it's kind of ridiculous. The cats get a whole room to themselves that is made specifically for them, with carpet on the walls and floors and cat trees and food. And I don't know. It's cute. I like it. Anyway, if you haven't subscribed, please do. Normally on my channel, I have a bunch of cleaning stuff. You know, since my name is Midwest Magic Cleaning and all, I usually do cleaning videos, but I thought I'd give it a little break and show some DIY stuff on here in this one. I've got one more room to do, and that is a bigger back bedroom that I'm going to be turning into an office and a recording studio, so that whenever I do these narrations, they sound just a little bit better. I'm going to show some soundproofing on the walls. I'm going to repaint it, get it all set up for my computer, and hopefully I'll be able to have that done by this coming week, and that'll be the last room that I work on for this house. Members, I will see you guys this Wednesday. Everybody else, I'll see you next weekend. Later.